Hello, my name is Tawana Brown, and I am the Assistant Director in Parent and Family Programs. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar Wednesday. We hope that you have all went back and watched our previous webinars that we've done in our Around the Town series. And so today we have John and Joya, and I'll let them introduce themselves from the Natural History Museum. And so, John, we'll start with you. If you could just give us a brief introduction of how you got involved with the Natural History Museum, and then Joya, you can transition after John.
Sure. Um, my name is John Friel. I'm the director of the Alabama Museum of Natural History here on the University of Alabama campus. My background is that I started as a scientist prior to coming to the University of Alabama a little less than 7 years ago. I was a research scientist at Cornell University, working on freshwater fishes from Africa and other places. So, actually, behind me are jars of fishes that I still continue to dabble with. But I come from a background doing basic research at a university. And I came here in large part because I was interested in the more public facing aspects of museums, kind of moving from the back of the house to the front of the house, in particular, engaging the public in disseminating knowledge that was being done at universities. There's all kinds of amazing research being done by faculty members and students here at the University of Alabama. And I felt it was really important that that science and some of their discoveries be communicated to the public in a way that they can interact with them. It's very unlikely that the public is going to pick up the primary literature of a scientific publication, but there might be parts of their research that may impact the lives of Alabamians or students and their families that are coming here to university. And we're doing that now through new exhibits.
Hello, my name is Joya Davis. I am the Education Outreach Coordinator for the museum. I was actually a student here. I graduated in 2016 with a degree in anthropology. I thought I was going to be a forensic anthropologist, took a few courses my senior year, which led me to museum work, and that's really become my passion, museum work and museum education more specifically. So I graduated from university. I moved to DC. I went to graduate school. I worked at the State Archives in Montgomery before I accepted the education outreach position in October 2020.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. And thank you again for joining us to share a little bit about your museum. So I think one of the first questions that I have for you, John, because Joy is still kind of new, I'll let you handle this one, is can you just give us a little history of the museum, when it started and how it started?
Sure. The museum we're in now it's the oldest museum in the state of Alabama, one of the oldest natural history museums in the U.S. We have some of our collections date back to the founding of the university. The majority of those collections were destroyed in 1865 due to some events that occurred on campus here. And in 1910, this new building was constructed, or actually it opened, and has operated since then as a natural history museum on the campus here. So it was originally also the building we're in. Smith Hall is right off the quad, so it's centrally located. It was on the edge of campus when it was built, but this space was originally designed to purposely to be a natural history museum, but also the original departmental homes for both the biology and geology departments. And while biology's moved out and geology's main department spaces in other buildings, they still teach classes in this building today. And almost anyone that's taken an introductory geology class has probably done it in Smith Hall. So the building has a lot of history with it. It's named for Dr. Eugene Allen Smith, who was a cadet here at the university. And then when he graduated after the Civil War, he went to Germany, got a PhD, came back and was hired as the second state geologist and also professor of geology here at the university. And he was instrumental in the vision for this space. It was dedicated to him. You can actually see within the exhibits today some artifacts that date back to his time. But he was a beloved faculty member here. He played in the symphony. He kept score at athletic games, and is a really kind of a really interesting individual.
Thank you. And I second that. I had a geology class. I went to Alabama as well. And my lab and my class, I think, were both in that building
Uh,
potentially. So, well, thank you for that. So, Joya, I know you're doing a lot of the education outreach, and so I wanted to see what are some of your favorite parts of the museum, and what education do you think is important for parents and family members and students?
Yeah, so I do give the majority of the tours here now. And undoubtedly, the first thing that people see is the Basilosaurus specimen that's hanging from our ceiling. Basilosaurus is our state fossil, and it was an ancient whale that lived, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but 30, 40 million years
Yeah,
ago.
it's the ballpark.
So that's like the first thing people see, and we love to talk about that. Um, and then, of course, we have the Hodges meteorite, which I always like to point out. Anne Hodges was a, a lady from Sylacauga, Alabama. She was taking a nap on her couch when a meteorite literally like came through her roof and hit her on the thigh. So it left her with this big bruise, but like otherwise she was fine. And to date, I think it's the only time where a meteorite has like actually hit somebody. So it's, and that happened here in Alabama. So I always love to point that out. So we have the Hodges meteorite, and I mean, whenever I talk to kids and even adults, you know, I like to point out the few dinosaur fossils that we have. Um, some of our marine reptile fossils. There's so many really cool, interesting things here that a lot of people don't even realize that we have. Um, and then even more that we have, you know, this is not everything that we have in the Grand Gallery that people see. There's um, so much that we have and that we have to share. So, and as far as educational programming, we do tours, we do outreach. I'll be in Birmingham tomorrow doing an outreach program at a school. We have several programs in the fall, in the spring, and summer. In the fall, we typically have the Haunting, which is our like Halloween program, and family night, and usually a holiday program that happens around Christmas time. And in the spring, which is actually coming up, we have Bama Bug Fest, which is a really fun great family event. If you're interested in bugs, even if you're not, I highly encourage you to attend. In the summer, we host summer camps and fossil and hiking trips. So I would say we have something for everyone, whether you know are just sort of have a budding interest in these things, or you know more experience. We have something for everybody.
Yeah, that's a lot of different things. I think that's a good point to transition into the video potentially,
Sure.
John, that you may have to show.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Our space, because it was constructed in 1910, it doesn't look like anything else on campus. On the outside of the building, it may look a little bit like some of the other buildings, other than being yellow brick, but inside, it has this amazing Greek architecture. So I've got a little 3-minute video produced by UA Museum's communication specialist. She just shot this morning. That'll give you a sense for what the space looks like. So let me go ahead and see if I can share that on my screen. Let's see. Okay, let me go ahead. Can everyone see that? So there's no audio, but this is kind of a quick walk around the space. It's actually on 3 different levels. The main level is on the 2nd floor of the Grand Gallery. There actually was Eugene Allen Smith's wagon that he took out there. Some state fossils, Basilosaurus, some trackways. It goes kind of, actually coming up is the Hodges meteorite. So that's what Joy was talking about a moment ago. A new exhibit we have about lightning that focuses on research done by a faculty member in geology. And the space itself is quite beautiful. The floors you see are all actually the original longleaf pine floors that were harvested from timber in Alabama. You'll see later on marble. All the marble comes from Sylacauga. And then all the ironwork, all the stairways have this amazing cast ironwork that was all forged in Birmingham, Alabama. And I like to remind people that this building has a real connection physically to the geology and biology of the state. And just some various fossils. This is a T-Rex skull that we have on display here, a fossil mammoth skull. A lot of people don't realize we did have both mammoths and mastodons during the Ice Age in Alabama. There's some of those steps I was just talking about. And this is going up to the mezzanine level, which is open. And this space, we're currently putting in a bunch of new exhibits. You can see the Basilosaurus reconstruction from above. Looking down there it is, our beloved Basilosaurus. We're putting in some new exhibits. We actually are getting ready to refresh our beehive, so that will have, hopefully in a few weeks, a live beehive in it, as well as some areas where we'll have viewing spaces for live insects that we maintain in the building for exhibits purposes, as well for our big Bama Bug Fest spring event. And then at the other end of the mezzanine, we've been putting in some new exhibits tied into faculty research. I'll wait till the video catches up here, but one of the ones we've done recently focuses on freshwater mussels. Alabama leads the nation in the highest number of freshwater mussels, or basically clam species. And we have a faculty member in biological sciences, Dr. Carla Atkinson, who has multiple NSF awards to do research on the ecology. So we've produced an exhibit on that, talking about their interesting biodiversity. Here you can actually touch some actual shells. We had this mural created by a local artist focusing on some of the aquatic biodiversity we have here in the state. And then here's an exhibit. The one that passed by there very quickly actually shows some buttons that were made from shells. A lot of people don't realize before plastics, a lot of buttons were made from freshwater mussel cells. So that's the video there. Let me see. Stop sharing here. Get back to the main one. So just a really quick tour, but you can see the space is really beautiful space. Actually, one of the things a lot of people, if they've ever been in the museum, it's probably been for a wedding. We actually do, in addition to having a public museum, we do rent out that space after hours for events and weddings. People love to get married under the Basilosaurus, so you'll often see that. And that Basilosaurus specimen that's mounted in the Grand Gallery often appears. I know it was in a recent campaign a year or two ago by the university.
Awesome. Thank you, John. That was such valuable information. Great. It's always great to see a visual of what we're talking about. So kind of just to wrap up, can you, Joya, share a little bit about the hours and operations? And if a parent and family member wanted to visit, or their student to visit, how would they go about planning that trip?
Yeah, so we do both guided and self-guided tours, but if you want a guided tour, I'm always happy to do them. I did one earlier this morning. I can drop my email in the chat if that works. Our hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 to 4:30. So if you just email me and we can get you on our calendar.
And we'll definitely put the contact information in the chat and emails as well, so people can reach out. Thank you all so much for sharing information. I think it's very important for when parents and family members come and visit their student that they kind of tap into what the university has to offer and what their student can potentially experience. I know when I was a student here at UA, I never visited the Natural History Museum, and it was a gem that was right under my nose. And so I definitely now encourage students to, just like last week, visit the Paul Bryan Museum and then visit the Natural History Museum. Is it free for students?
Yes, it is. It's free for students, faculty, and staff. I mentioned because there's also a teaching space. We have a lot of students that study in our spaces. There's Wi-Fi in there, and there are benches. There's actually one couch up on the mezzanine level that almost every day I go up, there's one or two students parked on there studying between classes. So I always tell people, it's a great place to come on a rainy or a cold day, to come inside. You may have noticed there's actually a skylight, so there's a lot of natural light in the space, and it's just a kind of a nice place. And sometimes you'll have it all to yourself. I mean, there are times when there'll be just school kids coming through there, but more often than not, I tell people it's a great place to come to study. People think about the libraries that can become crowded during study periods, but often the museum is a great place as well. We also are used by artists. We have art classes that come through all the time. That we've had English classes that have been coming through the past couple of weeks to be inspired by some of the exhibits. So, you don't have to be in natural history to enjoy it. Architecturally, it's really interesting, and it's just a place to come and reflect. We actually sometimes even have had musical performances. I'm sometimes approached by faculty members in the music department about doing performances. So I see it as a multi-use space. Its primary function is a natural history museum, but if you just want a place to study, or maybe, I've had students approach me about doing small programs in there. And as long as it's not disrupting other functions, we're pretty amenable.
Awesome. Well, again, thank both of you for joining us and sharing this valuable information. Parents and family members, thank you for joining us also virtually to receive this information. If you haven't, like I said at the beginning, went back and watched our previous webinars, please do that. We want to make sure you're informed when you're visiting campus and know what you can do, and know things that you can tell your students that they can also get engaged and involved in while they are on campus as well. We look forward to seeing you next week for our transportation webinar, the Transportation Museum. And so please check us out next week at 12 next Wednesday. And thank you again, and roll tide.